There we go. Hi, everybody. I am here with my friend Robert Rex from Vermont, who I have known for a long time through Facebook and have always enjoyed his things that he shared. And his kids and his kid and my kid are friends on Facebook Messenger now by some kind of weird accident that is amazing. And we have a lot in common. And we were just doing like basically a whole chat before this even started, and I'm like, shit, we have to record this. This is getting good. we're missing all the content. I want to, save this for posterity. So anyways, before we got too deep, I decided to push record. So
now we're
Robert,
recording.
Yes, now we're recording. Yay.
Hi, everyone.
Would you share with people who are watching what it is that you do, and also how did you get here? Like, did you always do body work? Were you doing something else before?
No, I've been a corporate wonk for most of my young adult life. And then I got
wonk.
Wonk, yes.
Is that? I learned a new thing today.
Like mid-level management stuff. Until I got tired of corporate politics for a number of reasons, and decided to go back into body work. And that was, I first started that journey 17 years ago. Rolfing is what worked for me, so that's the avenue I chose.
Awesome.
And became certified as a Rolfer 15 years ago. It normally doesn't have to take 2 years to get certified, but since I had no previous experience in working with clients doing body work and manual therapy, I took a year off and just worked and gave sessions away for free and tried to understand what was going on under my hands.
Cool.
But then, got back and finished up quickly. I was never much of a fascist, if you will.
Yeah.
And about the time I graduated is when the whole idea of manipulating or stretching nerves started to infiltrate the Rolfing community. So that became more my focus at the time. And since then, I became more interested in, okay, what is this nervous system? What does it relate to? How does it relate to biomechanics? How does it relate to us as people? And that brought me to a more movement-centered practice. And then a Rolfing friend of mine introduced me to dermoneuromodulating, which seemed to connect all those previous dots. Trauma, nervous system, movement, manual therapy, and a way in to start a dialogue with a client. But then, my life changed 4 years ago quite dramatically.
Yeah.
I think one of your questions was what was hard, and I don't think there's anything harder than that.
I know. Yeah.
But it's also been a great teacher in, everyone's got all this buried deep inside. What are some ways we can grow together, or that I can dialogue with a client to understand and have better intuition, better flow of where to put my hands to help them feel better, help them perform better, whatever their goal is. Yeah.
So have you become like a Jedi master of grief and loss? Working with people with that?
The first couple years, it was interesting. Like the clients that sought me out had their own grief issues.
Yeah.
Um, so we were kind of working, no, kind of like the blind leading the blind.
In
I just,
parallel. Yeah.
yeah. um, lately, it's been less so, and I don't share that part of my story with my clients unless it comes up or they're asking, don't want to lie to anyone. Like
Right.
this is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, um, I don't think you become a Jedi master at that. Um, like the best analogy I've heard about grief and loss is um, when grief first happens, it's basically an all-encompassing black circle
Mm-hmm.
um, 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 that occupies your whole life,
Mm-hmm.
every aspect of your life,
Mm-hmm.
and that circle doesn't become smaller. We just grow around it, so it looks like it's smaller. But um, there's always going to be good days. There's always going to be bad days, and that's there's always going to be memories that say, "Oh, yeah."
Mm-hmm.
But
How do you how do you work with the body when someone's in that place?
carefully.
Yeah.
Um, I make myself small. My hands are on in some innocuous place,
Mm-hmm.
whether I was already there or I might switch positions to just monitor where they're at.
Yeah.
Um, not trying to do anything, just listening to whatever um, they need to say. It's that whole thing that we are not biomechanists. We're um, the past year, I've been really interested in cognitive science and following this cognitive scientist out of the University of Toronto, John Vervaeke. And he's
Mm-hmm.
got this great series of lectures
Mm.
called Awakening from the Meaning Crisis on YouTube. It's a big
Awakening from what?
awakening from the meaning crisis.
Okay.
Um, and he
Mm.
really takes a historical perspective of philosophy
Mm-hmm.
and how things break down and reform and break down again and reform. Um, but as it reforms, a lot of stuff gets lost. And some of the stuff that gets lost is actually good shit that we need to have that greater sense of meaning within ourselves.
Mm.
Anyway, through that, a friend of mine um, 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 referred to us as not that was an aside to come back to the whole idea that we're not biomechanics,
Yeah.
but his phrase was we're actually biopsychosocial shamans,
Mm.
um,
I like it.
which is basically what we do,
Yeah.
as little as possible and allow the client to come to us. And with grief, it's even more so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they they just have to come to us and let their emotional, social, cultural piece come to terms with whatever so that their tissue kind of follows along.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Mm. It's really a process of alchemy, I think.
Yes.
Biopsychosocial shaman. Did I miss a word?
Yeah,
That's a long list of letters to put on a business card.
it is.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Um, yeah, that's it's. I don't regret any class or any experience I've had. sometimes I wish I didn't have it, but they've all been really good teachers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd agree. Perfectly laid out for my healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I have just, I think we might just have one in common. NKT. NKT, I think that's the
Yes.
only class we
Yeah.
probably have in common, which was a huge learning experience. It really was.
It was a huge learning experience, and I don't regret taking it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I learned a lot from. I learned a different way of seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I got pretty good at testing, but I also realized that, you know, the moment I put my hand on someone, something's going to change regardless.
Right.
Like those cutaneous nerves and say, oh yeah, or oh no, oh
Right.
yeah. And I think it's almost less about, like, one of the criticisms muscle testing has had is that that whole inter-rater variability, that your
Yeah.
test is going to be different from my test, or the way you
Right.
test it. And it's almost, I think it's less about that, and almost more that it it kind of forces, bad word, it 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 leads both practitioner and client into a diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm.
and I think it's less about a diagnosis and more about synthesis or realization or
Mm-hmm.
enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
um, that that might be, and notwithstanding that one client's going to need more biomechanical work, one client's going to need more psychosocial work, and so, because everyone's different.
Right.
um, um, anyway, it was just a natural evolution away from muscle testing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't muscle test very much anymore unless it's for to create safety in the mind of the client.
Right.
If somebody's coming in and they're like, my back really, really hurts, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I hear that, and also there's all these other things that are happening in your life, I might muscle test their back, and just so they can have a here's what's happening, here's what we perceive is happening now.
Right.
And then later we'll do it again and see if something has changed. Yeah. And if it hasn't, okay. And if it has, okay, it's all okay. But so if people are used to being muscle tests and they're very attached to it, I will do it. But otherwise, I don't really anymore. It doesn't really seem to be very fruitful for me. But it was very important for a while for me to walk in that story so that I could pretend to understand what was happening.
Uh-huh. Right. It's
When
a
I
rung.
needed to understand,
Right. It's a rung to something more, something
Yeah.
greater, a
Yeah.
greater understanding. Yeah.
I think it's an important piece for a lot of people. But I don't tend to attract clients who want that. I haven't for a long time, maybe at least a couple years. Most people coming in are really in tune with their emotions and have more spiritual questions than body related questions, biomechanical related questions. Yeah.
You're in Boulder or Denver?
I'm in Centennial, which is about 20 minutes south of Denver.
Okay.
But people come from all over Boulder. Yeah, there's plenty of alternative woo practitioners around here.
Uh-huh.
It's a nice place to be. I bet Vermont is similar.
Yeah, including their license tags. Like,
Yeah.
instead of white on green on white, it's white on green here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Did you ever meet Tori Welch?
Yes, we
She,
did.
yeah, she's here with me now.
Right.
She's in that room. Well, she's not in that room right now because she's not
Hi,
really doing
Tori.
chiropractic adjustments right now. But yeah,
Right.
yeah, I stole her away from Vermont. Let me rephrase that. She made a choice to come here.
With some encouragement.
Yeah, it was
I'm
part of
sure.
our funny story, our funny friendship story that I stole her away. Yeah. So what? So I love just hearing how you've navigated your own personal experiences, and I think was it 4 years? Wasn't 4 years ago for me, but it was 5 years ago. I had a very not quite so similar, but also a big grief and loss experience where I had to learn how to heal while I was helping other people heal. And
Mm-hmm.
it was very challenging for quite a while. Yeah. So I love to hear how you navigated that. Um, how do you take care of yourself? What are some of the things that you do for you that help keep you feeling good and grounded and able to be of service?
Um, Grief is funny. Like
Yeah.
I didn't, I don't, I thought I was keeping it in my own little bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I may have been, but it also may have been seeping out that clients didn't want or appreciate it. Um, or because they knew of my grief story. People don't want to put themselves. I think people. Hmm, what also may have been going on is um, people didn't want to put themselves in the middle of a grief story
Mm-hmm.
because it's such a hard and raw place to engage from.
Yeah.
Whether you're a client, a practitioner, a friend, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those first couple of years were really hard. Of um, of folks like not. Of course, it could be completely misreading it, but um, it was really challenging. Um, Also, in those first couple of years, self care was well non-existent.
Yeah.
The big wake up call came probably, oh yeah, exactly 2 years ago, um, January. So
Mm-hmm.
January 18, and my my A1C, which is the gold standard of how you measure um, um, blood glucose in your blood, was 10.9.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, and there's people with type 1 diabetes that are regularly much higher,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a shock, and quickly was diagnosed with diabetes type 2, and it's like, what? No, that can't be. I mean, I know it's in my family history, but nah.
Yeah.
So I went on a very extreme keto diet for 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
um, called the Whole 30 diet. And within 6 months, it went down to 5.8.
Mm.
No meds, no nothing, just diet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and lost about 22 pounds or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but I had mentioned earlier, probably before you started recording, about Rafe Kelly and his idea of the ecology of practices. And I, I got eating solely keto is a little boring.
Mm-hmm.
um, so started slowly kind of inching back into um, more interesting cuisine,
Yeah.
and put on another, gain back not the whole thing, but maybe 7 pounds or 7 to 10 pounds, I can't remember. And quickly realized, oh, I need to add in exercise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And actually, at that same time, I also realized, huh, um, part of grief is basically feeling sorry for yourself, or for me, it was.
Yeah.
Um, and the client load was decreasing. And I was like, wow, okay, don't people realize that helping people get better gets me out of my grief? And, it helps me.
Yeah.
And that then made me realize, oh, I'm looking to my practice to save me.
Yeah. I'm bypassing. Mm-hmm.
No, I have to save me first, and whatever happens with my practice will happen.
Right.
Um, so joined the gym, and that's been steady for 2 years. And
Cool.
since our since my practice has suspended itself, or I suspended it, um, um, I bought this elliptical years ago off of Amazon, which is actually a little bit too small for me, so I never used it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I realized, oh, I have this. I have weights in the basement. Ooh, I can keep doing what I was doing,
Yeah.
which I have been. So I haven't really skipped a beat.
Nice.
Well, yeah, I'm maintaining. I'm not improving, but I'm maintaining. Um, um, so, but that exercise, as I felt better about myself,
Mm-hmm.
slowly things started to, like, the opportunities and awarenesses in my field began to get bigger and more inviting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes, it was similar for me, although I think for the first 2 years, 3 years, my focus was solely on psychological well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until the last couple of years where I was like, well, shit, I do have a body also. Should probably get some body work.
Biopsychosocial shamans.
Yeah. Kind of forgot about the body there. But I had a lot going on at a soul level that I was trying to sort out. So most of my attention was on that.
Mm.
Um, so my gym going was very sporadic. But now, yeah, now my favorite thing that I can do is take a walk in the sunshine. I think it's most healing for me. And I have behind my house, I have this beautiful system of trails that I can just walk out of my door and walk right to.
Same here.
Yeah. So it's so awesome. Um, although people are wearing masks on the trails now. you, and nobody's like making eye contact. It's a bit weird.
Well, our trails are just um, specific to this um, mini development here in the hills. So there's no, I mean,
There's no
if you wore a mask, the only thing you'd protect yourself from is a fish or cat or something.
Right? I mean, it's kind of similar where I am, except that it's coyotes. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, I know you wanted to demo something with my eyeballs. Are you ready to do that?
Sure.
Okay. You want me to stand?
Well, just because since we started recording, I guess I should give a little
Yes,
prelude.
please.
Um,
Thank you. That's much more organized.
um, so, um, part of my natural progression has gotten into teaching. And one class that's I've been teaching lately is an approach to cranial nerves, but not thinking of, like, the root of the cranial nerve, but thinking about the cutaneous part and what we can do with the skin to help ease any restriction that's coming out from there. That
Mm-hmm.
can then also be a global response. And I think one of the pieces that was most revelatory in the couple of the classes was this idea of the vestibular ocular reflex,
Mm-hmm.
of how the eyes and your balance connect to in ways that creates a global response.
Mm-hmm.
It's more on a biomechanic level,
Okay.
but psychosocial cultural pieces can come up that we can also deal with. So just to get a sense of the other piece that I mentioned before we started to record was the idea that these assessments are tricky because they're really, really, really subtle.
Mm.
Um, and the whole idea of self-care really comes into play here. Not just, I mean, whether it's a set of practices you have of going to the gym or going on walks or reading poems aloud or, singing Bon Jovi at the top of your lungs. I'm a product of the 80s.
Me
Um,
too. Mm-hmm.
um, um, or some combination thereof, or chanting or reciting the
Prayer.
meditation. For now, the way I'm going to center myself is I'm just going to sit with my feet flat on the floor. You don't have to. This is for
I'm
me.
just gonna do it too, because
You're
why
going to do
not?
it anyway. And just notice, I'm just going to notice my breath and see where it lands, where things might need a little more opening for me, that I can feel my feet more clearly. Like what I feel right now is I feel my left foot a little more connected in the ground than my right, which might, well, actually, look into the webcam for a second. So right now my left foot's more connected than my right.
Okay.
And just super slowly turn your head to the left. Okay, and back. And super slowly to the right. Okay. Well, I want to, so now I'm going to kind of recenter myself to see if I can get my right foot. Sorry for the paint drying.
Are you
Self-care.
using your body as an indicator right
No,
now?
not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I'm just trying to center myself, and because
Ah,
I felt myself more weighted to the left, I want to try to find more balance in my right.
gotcha. Hmm.
That's better.
Yeah, I feel that.
So now I want you to
Turn to the
stand up.
left. Oh,
No,
stand up.
stand up.
Okay. Do you need to see my face?
Yeah. No, I don't need to see your face right now. But just do a single leg stance on one leg and then the other.
How long?
Yeah, not long. And the other. Which seemed less secure to you?
Right.
Uh-huh.
Definitely the right.
That's what it looked like to me too.
Do you need
Uh,
more or sit?
no, you can sit back down.
Okay.
We'll try that again in a second.
Okay.
So I'm still allowing my breath to find my center between my legs. And look into the webcam. And as you turn to the left, you're really trying to keep your eyes on me, but do whatever they're gonna do, but just slowly. And back.
Oh, you want me to actually look for you?
No, don't look for me. Just let your eyes do what they're gonna do, because before you were intentionally trying to keep looking at me while you turned your head.
Oh, I thought that was the task.
It's okay.
All
I
right.
know it wasn't clear.
So just move my head.
As slowly as you can. Okay, and back to center. And even slower than that to the right. Okay, and back. And one more time to the left. Oh, that's tricky.
You're looking at
Not...
what Noah calls my wonky eye.
Actually, come back to center. And one more time to the right, but 10 times slower than you did the before. Right. Okay. And back to center. And just that slowly to the left. Got it. Yep. Okay.
Cool.
What does Noah think is your wonky eye?
My left.
Yeah, exactly. So self-care for you might be just check out on your left. Does it feel tender? I'm going to take my glasses off so you can see me. Like on the lateral edge of your eye, not poking your eyeball too much, but just kind of the space between your eyeball and the socket? Or does it feel more tender at the bridge of your nose and eyeball?
More here.
More there?
Mm-hmm.
Which feels more comfortable, kind of pushing your eyeball laterally or pushing pushing against the bridge of the nose? And by push, I mean be as super gentle to yourself as possible.
Yeah. Feels a little more comfortable to go that way.
Okay, great. So also, you know what the tragus is?
Mm-hmm.
Well, keep one eye on the left eye.
Okay.
And pushing just slight, like just the intent of pressure laterally.
Okay.
A little lower with your finger. Even lower. Yeah, right there.
This is the best thing I've done in a long time.
and with your your index and thumb on your tragus, see which feels more comfortable, which direction, up, down, in, out, which feels more comfortable.
Down and to the right. My right.
Okay. Now hold both of those. And some indications that I look for, that I teach clients, is when do you notice your fingers feeling the pulse, feeling your pulse, or a warmth?
I don't feel that, but I feel a lot of energy moving down the right side of my body, which is nice. Okay.
It's almost like you're letting God push your hand down or over.
Okay.
Like you're not doing any pushing.
Oh. There's an intention of movement without like force.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's weird.
Did you notice your breath get bigger?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some sighing. Things opening around my heart.
Sometimes you'll have to hold this for like a minute or two.
Yeah, it seems like it. But it feels good now. Like I feel complete.
Okay. Then look back into the webcam and super, super slowly, like even slower than you think you want to turn your head to the right. Ah, a little less wonky, huh?
Yeah.
And turn to the left.
Mm. Yeah.
So there's one other thing that, again, look around the orbit of your eye and see where things feel. The right eye, sorry. I'm pointing to your right eye, whereas you can't really see that. So just kind of go around in a circle and see where it feels tender.
Here.
What about on the medial side?
Yeah, some over here too.
Which feels more tender?
Here.
And which direction allows that tenderness to feel less tender?
Moving my eyeball this way.
Okay, do that for a second, or minute. Noticing the same or looking for the same clues like before, whether it's a heart opening or internal energy rush down the right side, or maybe the left side this time.
Yeah, my left shoulder's doing this like twitchy thing it does when I release stuff. So
So the first time it was kind of a combination of ocular motor nerve and vestibular cochlear nerve, nerve. And this was more ocular motor nerve.
yeah.
So look in the webcam and super slowly to the right. Nice. Okay, now I want you to stand up and stand on your right leg, a single leg stance on your right.
All right.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah. It does feel easier. Yeah, I feel it.
There was a little more stability.
Right. Oh, the eyes.
And no Q-tips
Cool.
either.
No. God. Least favorite part of those classes. Sure. Also, anything to do with the hyoid.
Yeah, so I found that's a really powerful tool.
Very neat.
Both
How can
teaching.
people, learn from you? Are you teaching anything online right now?
Well, this is the first time I tried to teach this online.
Oh, good work.
Well, thanks.
It was successful.
The only thing I've thought about online teaching right now is kind of the prelude to technique work, which was kind of a background, a fundamental of what dermoneuromodulating is, and also a deep dive into the autonomic nervous system, which kind of gets into the need for self-care because it helps us reduce our implicit biases. Like, for instance, when I didn't want my cough to go on you. That was weird.
We're programmed now.
Bill Gates is right, damn it. Before, when I felt my left leg much more connected than my right, it was really hard for me to see where your eyes are going. It was like I was trying to anticipate or program, but you were also kind of forcing yourself to look at me too. But it like the whole idea behind that autonomic nervous system for me is it really helps reduce our implicit biases, which is one of my favorite topics for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So that part can, like, one thing, there's a way to share screen. Not that one.
Well, I only have 5 more minutes.
Okay, never mind.
So I'll.
It's gonna take. I should have thought of it before. But one way I do that is like showing pictures, like picture A, picture B, and getting folks to look at the autonomic response changes. Like if you're looking at me and on the screen behind you, I see picture A, picture B. Like picture A is like makes me do this, or somehow freeze. I'm doing it obviously so you can see my face,
right?
Or freeze like this or whatever. It gives you a clue as to what to look for.
That's fascinating.
And it really is the art of close reading. Also using art or poetry as a way of like diving deep into like, okay, what's the artist trying to say, or what emotions are coming up from you from this piece of art? Trying to tie in the basics of narrative medicine without going into a whole narrative medicine course, as a way of understanding yourself, allowing an opening so that only the relevant things that you're really focused in on the relevance of what you're seeing in a client or student or whatever.
Very cool.
But maybe techniques can be taught online.
I think so, probably. Or even the concepts. I mean, some of the concepts for sure. So how can people reach you if they want to learn from you or connect with you? What's the easiest way? Besides Facebook. I know Facebook.
Facebook Messenger is always good.
Yeah.
My email is always good.
What is that?
Robert_Rex at GMAVT, like Vermont, not Gmail. GMAV as in Victor, T as in Tom, .net.
Got it. Okay. Really cool. Boy, I feel like I need to go walk it off a little bit.
Cool.
Thank you very much for the time and sharing some of it's just so unique. So
Thanks.
cool. Yeah, thank you so much.
What YouTube channel are you using? Is it just under your name?
No, it's called
check out some of the others.
Yeah, it's called She, He, We Awakening.
Say again?
She, He, We Awakening. I'll send you a link on Facebook Messenger. Yeah, so you can find the channel. It's much easier. Yeah, it's a channel for me and Noah to teach. But it's been mostly me so far.
It's a start.
So far. Yeah. All right.
So one more plug.
Yes.
There are 2 classes coming up, one in Chicago in July, that
God
has
willing.
not been canceled yet.
Yeah. Right.
um, July 17th to 19th,
Okay.
and one in Boston, or the
Ooh,
Boston area, November 13th and 15th.
cool.
Um, it's a 20-hour class, like 4 hours on Friday and then 8 hours each on Saturday, Sunday.
Amazing. And that's all. Is that up on your a website or just reach
Um,
out to you via email?
there are Facebook events that I created, which are
Okay.
on my business page called Rolfing Vermont,
Okay.
that you can learn more about.
Yeah, I'll point people towards Rolfing, Vermont, and then cool. Very cool. Thank you.
Really lovely to meet you and talk with
Yeah,
you.
lovely to meet you too. Thank you so much.
And I'll see you later.
Yes.